A child starts to break something with a hammer when a man enters the room screaming, very nervous because she is doing what he tells her to stop. Immediately takes the hammer from her hand and threatens to hit her with it. Two other men observe everything without saying anything. She, not knowing what is going on, apologizes. Dad just wanted to help. The man says he's sorry, that nothing has been many days since you've been making me angry. He holds the girl by the arm, takes off the belt to hit her daughter, while the men who watch everything he's doing come close. Before he touches the girl, a woman arrives and asks if he's going crazy. He gets very angry and tells his wife to shut up, that he is raising her because her mother never raised him. If you think you're going to lay a finger on my daughter, you're wrong. But he turns around screaming that he needs to teach the child a lesson. The mother takes the lead, saying, "Don't you dare do that." The father angrily stops, but leans over the table looking sick. The woman is worried and asks if he is okay, but he nervously tells her not to mess with him. Still nervous man says, "If you hadn't come into my life, I would be so much better. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't want any of this for myself. I have a lot of problems, and it's your fault." The woman approaches her daughter, takes the child by the arm and leaves him alone. Bewildered, he sits on the arm of a sofa as the two men he was watching approach, and one of them asks, "What's going on with you, my friend? What do you think? You haven't seen it all there, because you're whining about life," says the man in a wheelchair. He replies that nothing is happening. "That's right, I just came to get my wife's shoe that was left for you to fix." The man takes a deep breath and asks what is his wife's shoe. It's a black pointed toe imported shoe, has some white details on it. At that moment he sees on the floor a shoe all studded with nails with the same characteristics that the man had said. "And very dull question, did you say blank details?" "Yes, that's right. Do you have a problem with the shoe?" "Problem? You don't know anything about problem. I'll tell you what's a problem. My whole life I've tried to get rich, and look at me in this house, die, late, rent a family that doesn't help me at all. It just gets in my way. That's a problem." The man in the wheelchair takes a very large bundle of money and says, "Your problem is money. Are you willing to do anything for money?" "Yes, I do anything for money."
Eu faço qualquer coisa.
"And then would you do anything for money?" The man repeats the question. He confirms yes. Then the wheelchair user calls his assistant who is with him and speaks something in his ear. The boy listens attentively while the man is curious to know what they are talking about. When he finished talking to his assistant, he called the man and said, "Come here with me." The man goes without knowing what will happen. The man in the chair takes a lot of money and puts it on the table, says, "There's a lot of money here." The boy is amazed at how much money he sees, looking at you, smiling, and asks if he can take the money. When he puts his hand on the money, the wheelchair assistant holds his hand. And the wheelchair user, smiling with a hammer in his hand, says, "You know that nothing is free in this life, my friend." The frightened man asks, "What do you mean by that?" "I'll make you rich, but in return I'll rip his finger off." The assistant holds the boy's hand tightly on the table. "Wait a minute, you're crazy," says the terrified man. "On the contrary, I'm not crazy. You have all the fingers, but you're not happy because you're not rich, so I make you rich. You're happy, but without your finger." The wheelchair user smiles and says that where the money came from there is much more, and takes more money in his pocket and throws it on the table. The man is tempted with so much money while the wheelchair user smiles, swinging the hammer. The man steps forward to give a hammer blow, and he pulls his hands back, and the assistant lets go of them, and he manages to get rid of the hammer in fright. At that moment his wife arrives with her daughter and realizes that she has something wrong and asks what is going on here. The man orders his assistant to pick up the child and bring it to him. Dazzled by the beauty of the child stroking his hair, he says that he always wanted to have a daughter, but that he never could because of his situation. "Your very beautiful daughter is all I wish I had, so I'll keep her and you can keep the money."
Eu nunca pude ter filho. Então, eu gostaria muito de ter uma menina linda assim, igual essa aqui, ó. Realmente muito lindo.
The terrified woman
Tudo
goes
que eu
to her
gostaria
husband
de
and
ter na
asks
minha
if he
vida.
won't do anything.
Você não vai fazer
He asks for
nada.
calm and
Calma,
says
você tá
that
vendo
he
o
is
que eu tô
thinking.
pensando?
The
Você
nervous woman slaps him in the face.
Tá pensando
You're
o quê,
crazy,
seu?
she's
É
our
nossa
daughter, you're
filha.
selling her. Meanwhile, the man continues to caress the child who bites him on the arm, forcing him to release her and runs towards his mother and hugs her.
Não,
The
tô sim,
assistant
tô sim.
asks if he is
Pega
okay,
ela pra
he
mim.
says yes and orders him to get the girl again. The man
Para aí.
surrounds and
Olha aqui,
grabs
não
him
se
by the
atreva a
collar
tocar na
and
minha
says,
família.
"Don't you dare
Você não tem
touch my
nada que falar,
daughter
você
or
não
my
queria ficar
wife."
rico, você não queria ficar
The
rico, esse é o
assistant lets
preço.
go and
Você tem que
says you
ficar
have no
calado.
right to say anything you didn't want to get rich, that's the price you're going to pay, and pushes him away.
Senhor, fica com a minha
The child
sandália.
runs to the wheelchair user who wants to
Mas
buy it
deixa
and
minha
says,
família em
"Sir,
paz.
you can keep my
Leva
sandal,
esse,
but leave
é
us
muito
alone."
melhor.
The
Eu não sei
wheelchair
porque você
user looks
reclama
at the
tanto da
man
sua
and says,
vida.
"I don't know why you complain
tem uma
so much
família
about your
linda,
life. You have a beautiful
uma
family, a
filha
beautiful
linda,
daughter
uma
who loves
esposa
you.
que te ama.
But he is blind and doesn't
Você é
see the
cego.
wealth he has in his
Você não
life, and
enxerga
he
toda a
keeps
riqueza que
complaining."
você tem em sua vida. O que você tem ao seu redor.
He calls his assistant again and says something in his ear. The assistant leaves, goes to the car and brings a box and delivers it in your hands. The wheelchair user says he'll leave the box with him and come back later to
E a
get it.
próxima semana eu venho aqui para buscar.
The man takes the box all awkwardly. I'll be back next week and I hope you understand the lesson.
É, o senhor
You
tem
are
razão.
right, I with my
Eu, na
blindness
cegueira da
for money
riqueza,
did not see that my greatest
nunca
wealth
abri os
is
olhos
my
para
family.
enxergar a riqueza
The
da
man
minha
hugs
família
his
junto
wife and
comigo.
daughter and asks for
Perdão, meu
forgiveness for
amor.
all he had done to them. Days later, looking at the
Alô,
shoes
senhor?
that the man had left, he
É,
didn't
sim, sou
find
eu
any
aqui da sapataria.
defects, so he calls.
O senhor deixou
"Sir,
esses
your
sapatos
shoe
aqui,
is
mas eu não
flawless.
tô
I don't
entendendo, eles
understand
não
why
têm
you
nenhum
left it
defeito."
here.
É, realmente não
I
tem
know
nenhum
it's not
defeito.
flawed, but
Mas
look what's
olha bem
inside."
direitinho, veja o que está dentro.
Dentro?
Inside, he inquires and looks inside the shoe and finds a lot of money. Frightened by how much money, he asks why he had left
Mas,
so
senhor,
much money.
isso aqui é muito dinheiro.
Rest easy,
Fica
shoemaker,
tranquilo,
now that
sapateiro.
you know money doesn't
Agora que
bring
você
happiness.
sabe
I
que
hope you
dinheiro
know
não
how to
traz
use this money
felicidade,
I'm giving
espero que
you.
você saiba usar com sabedoria.
The man gets emotional and
Senhor,
thanks him immensely for having done
muito,
that
mas
and hangs up the
muito
phone
obrigado.
looking at so much
Muito
money in
obrigado.
emotion.